All right, so Nolan, we saw Governor Gretchen Whitmer give her fifth State of the State address. It is the first State of the State address of her second term and the first address to a chamber that is controlled on both sides, Senate and House, by Democrats. I thought it was a really focused speech. She talked about some really concrete things she wants to get done right away. I also thought it was an ambitious speech. She talked about some things that, hey, maybe there's stretch goals for us here in the state. But look, this is playing to my sentiments, right? This governor and this legislature. I wonder how it struck your ears.
Well, what it struck me as a governor who recognizes the opportunity here. She's got complete control of the legislature. It's a slim majority, but if she could hold it together, she could get a lot of things done, a lot of difficult things done, things that you wouldn't have imagined happening had the chamber not changed to a Democratic majority. Also an opportunity to position herself as a governor who can do hard things and can get things done, which is very useful if a governor had ambitions for 2024 and the presidential race.
Yeah, like people keep bringing that up about 2024 and whether Whitmer would be in it. I don't see her as a great, credible candidate there. But before we get to that, I do want to talk about one part of her speech in particular, and that's this idea of pre-K for all, which I think, we have been expanding pre-K for a while here in Michigan. We've been talking about doing better in terms of educational outcomes. Everybody seems to agree that pre-K gives kids a leg up that lots of them need. I think this is the most ambitious part of the early agenda, at least that the governor has in getting the legislature, and it is something that I think you're going to see a lot of Republicans at least sit down and think about it or open their ears to.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's an important piece. I would have preferred to see it as part of an overall strategic education improvement plan, something we lack in this state, a blueprint, a plan that everybody understands and everybody participates in that goes from K-12. It includes school choice, it includes tutoring, intensive tutoring, and it breaks down all these barriers, structural, cultural, whatever, that have kept us at the bottom of education performance in a state that should not be at the bottom. We fancy ourselves a sort of advanced state, a prosperous state, and here we are lurking around with some of the poorest states in the nation in terms of our education achievement. Her economic plan, Steve, she's calling for a increase in the earned income tax credit for the working poor. I think that's also a place where she's going to find consensus with Republicans. She's proposing 30% EITC credit. Republicans are already on the table with 20%. That seems like a very narrow gap to close. I think where she's going to run into pushback from the public too is on this income tax relief, forgiving public employees from pensions from state income taxes, but not everybody else's pension. I think the Republicans have a much better plan to provide $40,000 in exemptions on retirement income for an individual and $80,000 for couples. That takes care of everybody. But this insistence on providing some extra benefit to public employee pensioners, I think is unfair, and it's not going to sit well with the public.
Yeah, I think I don't know how well it'll sit with the public. This used to be a state where we really believed in that kind of benefit for people who worked for government, and part of the reason was that we ask a lot of them. We ask a lot of sacrifice of them when times get tough. These were concessions that were crafted around the idea that these were people who are not going to make the kind of money that people do in the private sector. But I don't know if that's all true anymore, right? I'm not sure that everybody feels that way. I don't object to, on its face, the Republican plan there, which is dealing with everybody who's retired and saying, look, let's treat them all better, right? But
Equal.
the idea of them being equal, they aren't necessarily equal, and I think that's where that's
Well,
where we'll have to hash
they
that
shouldn't
out.
be. We shouldn't have two classes of taxpayers. And, I think that's where there's going to be a sticking point. You could take care of this by adopting that Republican plan, and public pensioners benefit, private pensioners benefit, and people without a pension, which is going to be most of the
There's
population,
most of us now, right?
they
Yeah.
benefit.
But quickly, I want to talk about this ambition. What do you really believe that this is somebody who's thinking about national office?
Yeah, I mean, she sounded like it. She didn't sound like somebody who is ready to quietly walk off the stage in 2 years. And again, this presents her with an amazing opportunity to position herself as a get it done governor. And, that's made much easier when there's nobody standing in your way, keeping you from getting it done. So like Rick Snyder in his first term, look at all he accomplished with a Republican majority in the legislature.
Well, everyone
that
thought he
hadn't
might
turned
be.
on him yet.
Everyone thought he might have national aspirations
Well,
and possibility, and well, he didn't.
He ran for a little bit, So, and
All
I
right.
would
Well,
expect
we'll have
her
to
to
see.
as well. Okay, Steve. Next up, the budget, where reality will meet these.
Yeah, right. How are we gonna pay for all
ambitions. Yeah, right. So, good talking with you.
All right.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.